Hi guys, welcome to Cacao Sita. This is an instructional video on how to prepare your ceremonial cacao. So the first thing that we can do is we can arrange all our ingredients, have your cacao ready. This is a block of the Peruvian Criolla cacao that Cacao Sita provides. And we also have today, we have some vanilla, which is said to be cosmic lover of cacao. We have some cayenne chili pepper, which helps to activate the ingredients within the cacao, the bioactive ingredients. We have a little bit of nutmeg and some cinnamon, which are a beautiful sweetening combination to go in. And we also have some rose petals in this little egg cup that we'll just put on the end, which is said to be a beautiful heart opener, the petals of the rose. Today we're also going to put in a little bit of, this is almond milk, organic almond milk. You can also use oat milk as you wish if you want to. It just helps to soften the cacao a little bit as opposed to using all water, which is also completely fine. So the first thing you might want to do is to take something like sage or palo santo and to light it and just cleanse your space. So when we're working ceremonially with cacao, whether it's for ourselves or for other people, the intention is really setting the energy, it's setting the vibration that we're working in. So it's very important that we set a good intention, a heartfelt intention for either our personal meditation or our ceremony. So you can take something like your palo santo or your sage and just light that. And then start to draw in and really start to set your intentions from the beginning. So once it's lit, you can obviously give yourself a little cleanse as you're the vehicle for the energy as we work, and just clearing out anything that feels stagnant or stale, so you can be a clear channel today. And then coming to cleanse your cacao as well, pouring your prayers, your hopes, your aspirations, cultivating your relationship with her. It's very much a two-way dialogue when we work with plant medicines. They also want to experience human consciousness as much as we want to experience theirs. You can smudge all of your other ingredients, and of course I'm using these very accessible ingredients from a supermarket. If you can access rawer, wilder ingredients, accessing the actual plants themselves, that can be a super potent way of doing it. So really just take your time for this part, and if you're following this video, you're welcome to pause at any time, do the action and then come back to it. And obviously this is one of the Cacao Sita packets, how the cacao arrives to you. So once your space is set and you feel like you're in a good space, then we're going to come and measure out how much cacao we want. So traditionally, working with cacao, if we're going to do a ceremony for ourselves or for other people, we're going to use a full dose, 42 to 45 grams of the ceremonial grade cacao. Now, we usually do that by taking the block and shaving it with a knife, so we're going to get to that in just a moment. And if you're going to use a meditation dose, so say you're using cacao by yourself or with friends and family at home and you're using it in a daily practice, maybe to sit and meditate, to journal, to work on a creative project, to lay out a business plan, to do your yoga practice, whatever it is that you're asking Cacao Sita for help with, then you can adjust your dosage. Obviously you can start with lower doses if you're new, if you're caffeine sensitive, if you're pregnant, and the only contraindication is if you're on antidepressants, then it's best to seek advice and avoid cacao because it releases extra serotonin into the system, so it could be a little much. So we're going to take our block of cacao, and I'm just going to grab an extra chopping board to make it easier. But I'm going to aim for a 28 gram dose, and I'm making it for 2 people today, so that would be 56 grams altogether. And I have just your average kitchen weighing scale and a bowl. So you can also place your bowl and then turn it on and make sure you've set your scale to 0 so you have the most accurate reading that you can. And then I'm just going to go bit by bits with this to guess at how much we need to weigh it out, just shaving it off the block. And sometimes if it's a little tough, then you can find the way that the kind of the groove, the grain of the of the block to make it easier to shave it off, if that makes sense. So yeah, I found a kind of sweet spot with it, and I can keep shaving it. Obviously having a sharper knife definitely helps with the process. Alright, so I reckon that's probably one dose. I'm just going to put that in the scale and have a little look, see where we're at. Alright, so that's 30 grams, just over half. So I need another 26 grams to make this the right amount for 2 of us today. So I'll keep chopping. So if you don't want to use a knife, you could also use a grater. That's completely okay as well. You can just find your way with it. And also cacao, it's a very intuitive medicine. So the more you work with the cacao herself, she will guide you. So if other things come to you for preparation, for ceremony, for amounts, etc., listen to her, listen to her guidance as she comes. All right, I've gone a little bit over. Okay, so we also don't want to waste any of this medicine. Cacao is very labor intensive in the way that it's prepared in this ceremonial way. So when they take the cacao beans and out of their pods, they ferment them, and then they should just be roasted at a low temperature, not even roasted, they're just heated so they can then peel the shells by hand. And then they take that bean from inside and they hand make it into a paste with a hot stone. So this takes Guatemalan, Peruvian women generally are doing that work, although of course men can do it too, and it takes them a lot of time. So we want to conserve as much medicine as we can. We don't want to waste it, be honouring of the process that it's been through to come here. So now we have our 56 grams of cacao here, and we're now going to prepare the water. So we're going to use these cups today because I thought they're nice. You can see how much of each thing we're putting in. So I pre-boiled a kettle, and ideally you'd want to use some filtered water for this. So if you can get filtered water, if you have a good filter, or buy fresh water. And then for each cup, we're going to put about 2/3 in. So you can see it's about 2/3 of the cup, and we're going to bring it over and put it in the saucepan. And of course we're going to do it twice as there's 2 of us. And pop it in. So, also for this recipe today, I'm going to put in a little splash of plant milk, which obviously increase the levels a bit, but as I mentioned earlier, it helps to soften the cacao. So it's more like a hug when it enters your body and into your heart space. So I'm just going to pop a little bit of that into the cup as well. That's probably good, it's enough. Just a little, just to take the edge off. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to work with this vanilla extract. You can also get organic vanilla pods, you can get vanilla paste. This is what I have in my pantry at the moment, so it will also do the job as the essence. So just as you'll see with these ingredients, it's just a little amount of each, doesn't have to be a big amount. And also you can do this to your taste. Obviously the cayenne chili is strong, it's an activator, but it can be very spicy if you put too much in. So just depending on your digestion, we're just going to put a little spread into that. We'll do a little bit of nutmeg for this recipe as well. And of course, there are many other ingredients you can put in. You can put in licorice roots, you can put in almond extract, you can put in coconut oil, you could put in turmeric, you could put in cardamom. There's many things that you could put in. I like to put a little more of the cinnamon in because it sweetens and kind of brings a real silky quality into the cacao. And we've done the nutmeg. Okay, great. So they're the ingredients. We're going to add the rose petals after. So then all we do is we come to our stove, we turn the stove on, and we're going to bring this water up to a gentle boil. So if you're using, especially with fresher herbs, like ones you picked out of your garden, or if you've actually bought the plants, you can steep the herbs in the water to make a tea. So if I was working with rose, I could take rose heads, just gently heat the water, never boil it, especially with the more delicate plants, and steep it, and then maybe I leave it overnight, especially for a ceremony, so it really infuses with that smell and with the herbs, and then you take obviously the herbs out and drain it so you still have all the water left. As we're doing it this slightly quicker way or more convenient way with these spices from the supermarket, it's not so necessary. But I'm just heating. I'm just going to show you, hopefully it's easy enough to see, that we just have the milk and we have the spices and the water inside of the pan, and we're going to let those gently come to the boil. Now I just want to stipulate that before we put the cacao in, it's really important that we don't boil the cacao. The cacao never wants to boil itself because it's going to degrade the quality, and cacao is literally the world's #1 superfood. It's full of the most vitamins, minerals, trace minerals, bioactive ingredients. It's literally the world's best superfood. So if we boil it, we're going to degrade a lot of those ingredients. We're not going to get that nourishment that we would if we keep it off the boil, so it retains its integrity and it retains all those minerals and nutrient density that it naturally has. So as this comes to the boil, I'm just going to give it a little whisk. You can use a spoon for this. A spoon's fine, but a hand whisk is really useful, really handy, and it also helps, especially once you put the cacao in, to make it a little lighter, a little more frothy, get a bit of air into it, which is a nice thing. So this is gently coming towards a boil now. And you don't want to take it like up, like really bubbling. Just watch it. So if it starts to get that way, a few little bubbles appear maybe, then you're doing good. You're in the right space. All right, that looks like it's doing well. So it's just about to bubble, and I'm going to turn this right down. So it's on the very minimum setting, so it's not going to be boiling when I put the cacao in. Also, it's good to know that when we add the amount of cacao, it's going to reduce the temperature of the water as well. So it's not going to be boiling. You don't have to worry too much. If you're ever worried about that, err on the side of caution. You could even just take the pan off and rest it for a minute or two just to be really sure. And then you can bring it back. So I'm going to take this cacao and I'm going to just put it into the pan, and then I'll show you how that looks. So we're just going to pour all of the 56 grams of cacao in, and again we want to honor the amount of plant that we've used, the amount of the cacao bean that we've used, and really use as much of the ingredient of cacao as you can. So now I'll come and bring it to you. You can see that the cacao is sitting up in the water, and then we bring it back over that low boil and we start to whisk. Now this is a really beautiful part. Usually what happens is a kind of froth appears on the top of the cacao. So you can see it has this white froth on the top, and we're going to stir it, we're going to whisk it until that froth disappears and it becomes kind of silky once again. So I'm just going to keep it over this very low heat, and I'm going to stir it. Now this is a beautiful time, at least for me. I love this time to really pour my intentions in. What am I asking to cultivate? What am I seeking to connect to? What guidance am I needing today? And also it's a time to sing to her. If you like using mantras, medicine songs, whatever it is, maybe it's just a song, your song, maybe it's just a song that's stuck in your head, but one that you can sing to her with devotion. And of course, if you're a singer or you're comfortable with your voice, you can sing out loud. And if you're not, you can just repeat it internally. It has the same energetic effect that you're pouring your heart into the cacao. And especially if we're serving for other people, for ceremony, etc., this is a really important part of it, because that is the medicine that everyone is going to ingest, including you. So one song I like very much that I learned in my travels in Guatemala is Cacacita la medicina, Cacacita la di, which just means it's honoring his Cacacita, the medicine, and then Cura cura cuerpecito, cura cura la di, asking to heal the body, and limpia limpia espiritito, limpia limpia la di, asking to clean the spirits. These are beautiful devotional medicine songs. So you can sing to her and just go, Cacacita la medicina, Cacacita la di, Cacacita la medicina, cacacita la di. Cura, cura, cuerpecito, cura, cura la di. Limpia, limpia, espiritito, limpia, limpia, la di. And of course, you're welcome to sing that through as many times as you wish, or your favorite mantra, whatever you feel. So I'm going to show you where we've got to, and this has been quite quick today. The cacao is almost ready. We're going to give it a couple more minutes. You can see it's very silky. That foam is mostly gone off the top, and we're just going to keep going so it gets really smooth, and also keeping it over this low heat so you can see the steam coming. It kind of just becomes a bit richer. There are other ways of making cacao, of course. This is the main way that I use, so I wanted to share this with you. And soon enough, it'll be ready to pour into cups and to consume. So also at this point, you start to get this beautiful aroma coming off the cacao, this raw chocolate. And you can be breathing that in. She starts to enter your system in this way already. So it's a very energetic process, and the more you work with this medicine, the stronger that connection will become for you. So you may be stirring, if it's just a little amount of cacao, then you may be stirring for 2 or 3 minutes. If you add more, so you're making it for more people, maybe you're stirring for 10, 15 minutes, for like 15, 20 people in a big pot. So you just do as the cacao directs, and then when you feel that it's really reached its, its ultimate smoothness, all that foam is gone, there's this kind of like silky layer over the top of it, then you're welcome to take it off. So you can see now that it's pretty smooth, pretty silky looking. We have this beautiful raw cacao to consume. So then from there, let me move this. You can just take your cups for serving, for whoever you're serving, and then you can pour your cacao. It's roughly, this should be about 2/3 of each cup. So you can see it's got this beautiful texture. It's quite thick. It's very smooth. There's a little more. It's beautiful. Wonderful. And again, just honoring the cacao, not wasting a drop of it. Doing your best to get it all in the cup. And then today for this recipe we obviously use the cayenne, the cinnamon, the vanilla extract and the nutmeg. And then we have these beautiful pink rose petals, these heart-opening rose petals, and you can just take a couple and place them on the top, and they'll infuse into the cacao. If you're wanting to make this rose infusion stronger, you could take the petals, you could take an actual dried rose head, and as I mentioned, you can infuse it in the water like a tea, but remember not to boil that, and with most herbs as well. So there you go, we have our beautiful cacao for 2, and it's ready to drink. Enjoy.